Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to Suzerain. Now, I did a test drive on this game, live on stream actually, a while back. At least it was a while back when I did it, actually. I think it's up, and if things go to plan, this should be going up the Monday after this goes up, the video went up. Although, whether it happens or not is to be seen, and I'm not sweating too much one way or the other. I'm hoping this will come out anyway, and if you're watching this, I guess it has. But I had a pretty good time for it, and the views in the first 6 hours are almost 40, which is pretty decent for a test drive, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's pretty good for a test drive. And I also had a lot of people saying in the comments, like, we're surprised you're playing this game, we like that you're playing this game, would you want to do a Let's Play of it? And so I figured, you know what? Why not? So, we are going to be hopping into Suzerain. I have a rough plan of what I want to do in this LP. We kind of messed around with a Reformist game in the test drive stream, and I figured I'll go ahead and try to go all the way in that. Make Sordland a better democratic nation all around. Make it friendly to minorities and women. Get our economy back on track. And just have a grand old time. And make Sordland a nice place to live. So we're going to go ahead and start a new game. I think I started a new game. I think I finished the game about twice now already. So I know roughly what to do. I actually started a third game to test out a guide that my friend, a friend of the channel sent, Mr. Topmuck. Something that he suggested the game to me, actually. But I figured we'll just go ahead. I've played around a little bit, so I do roughly know what to do. So we'll just go ahead and launch the game. You are my enslavement and my freedom. You are my flesh, burning like a raw summer night. You are my country. Let me grab my notepad real quick. You opened your eyes to this world. You came from... what do I want to come from? It's typically suggested, I would suggest to do middle income family. Although I am doing a more free market game. So I think I'll do a wealthy family in the city of La Chavin. Your parents named you Anton. As the only child of a successful businessman, you had the chance to grow up in a wealthy family. Life was easy at first, and you had the best education money could afford. However, things inside the Rain family changed due to the absence of your father. This affected your mother and you negatively. The years passed. During your history class at school, the bell started to ring unexpectedly. You heard a loud commotion outside. As everyone tried to figure out what was going on, the principal announced a historic revolution. The kingdom was no more. The Republic of Sordland was born. You were somewhat worried. After graduating, you passed the university exam with high marks. You had the study to choose between several studies. You chose. Now, from my understanding, law helps if you want to do a more autocratic run. History helps a fair bit with foreign policy, but it doesn't matter too much for what we're wanting to do. Economics helps with your economic process, and it'll help the oligarchs like you a bit more. I think it helps with your economy a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and do economics at the Lachevin Business School. Seems like a rich person thing to do anyway. During the first year, you attended a lecture with David Wishki. He was a well-known diplomat of the Foreign Ministry and the son of the president. After observing the hall in silence, he explained why a market economy is a better option for Sordland. He argued for a system where prices for goods and services were determined by the open market. You agreed in principle. Soldiers entered the campus in the evening ahead of the first election. Many were in shock as the uniformed men created a security cordon and started arresting the teachers. A group of students started gathering in protest along with your best friend Peter Vector, and you decided to protest with the students. One of the officers made a loud announcement that echoed through the campus. General Suzerain declared martial law in order to restore the administration. Please stand back and disperse to your rooms. You joined the students that slowly marched towards a large group of the soldiers. Suddenly they charged. A student fell and was trampled as everyone started running away. You held your ground, though. The soldiers beat you relentlessly. It was a gloomy year. The majority of the students and teachers displayed their opposition. Thus, Latchman became a target for the military regime. He didn't want to stay idle and instead joined a political debate group. The dozens of debates help you hone your oratory skills while also helping you grow your network. Even though debates were pretty heated between different groups, you all grew from sharing ideas. In one of the meetings, Peter introduced you to one of his friends, Monica, who was a volunteer for the Swedish League of Women. You were immediately attracted to her intelligence. The politically in charge environment led you to stay away from any political organizations. We're playing a pretty mild-mannered game. We don't want to do anything too crazy. The radio relayed that the communist General Rickard surrounded Suzerain and his troops, demanding their surrender. They refused, and heavy fighting broke out across the country. You couldn't believe it. The army was fighting amongst themselves. And so Sordland plunged into chaos. The crash is escalating to a full-blown civil war. The horrors made you isolate yourself for a while. Monica helped you cope, and love grew between the both of you. However, it was a difficult time for love. The chaos must end. The charismatic Colonel, Tarquin Sol, orchestrated a sudden attack and brought an end to the war. He wrote a new constitution and restored stability. The people saw him as a savior. He formed the United Sordland Party and ran as a presidential candidate. In the first ever election, you voted for United Sordland Party. The USB won the election by a large majority. After graduation, you kept seeing Monica and noticed her interest to marry. However, a letter arrived from the military calling you to fulfill your compulsory duty. It was time to serve your national duty. A devastating civil war broke out in the neighboring country of Velen. The distinguished major, Josef Lancia, ordered you to lead a squad on a border patrol mission. It was a very cold night when you began marching out of Gumrin outpost. You could see your breath. After several hours of marching through the snowy hills, distant noises were heard. Visibility was too low to confirm the source. The squad crawled forward in formation and found a spot to observe. A group of refugees had made it to the border fence. So, this is, I believe last time I let them slip through. If you escort them back, your relationship with the military will be better. Although, is that going to matter? I don't think it will. You let them slip through. After the patrol, Major Lancia arrived with anger and immediately relieved you of your command, calling you a disappointment. One of your squad members had reported your actions. After several months of scrubbing the floors as a punishment, your duties ended, and you went back to civilian life. You and Monica decided to share your lives together. After receiving the blessing of her parents, a ceremony was held in Holsord. During the same year, you worked hard to secure a high-paying job at the governing USP. It was much more difficult to start your career on a good foot because of the refugee incident, but you still managed. It was the best opportunity to change a country for the better. You became the economic assistant of one of the most experienced members of the assembly. You worked long and hard, staying late at work, investigating hundreds of pages of economic reports. You were climbing the ladder. Sol strengthened the Republic by removing the institutions and symbols of the former kingdom from society. Things were also looking up for the country as a massive economic boom continued, and people were happy as they had been in a decade. Election time came, and it was decided. President Tarquin Sol was elected once more. The new 5-year plan, the subsequent work regarding finances put you under a lot of pressure. But your significant contribution to the economic strategy triggered an invitation to meet Tarquin Sol himself, who offered you a key position. You were to become the youngest member of Assembly. You accepted right away. As young as MP, it was difficult to connect with the influential inner circle. You needed allies, so you brought Peter as your right-hand man. The birth of your son, Frank, provided a brief moment to join relief. You... let's sacrifice work to spend time with the family. During your absence, Peter found trustworthy contacts and strengthened your position in the party. At the same time, President Sol increased his authority over the years. His growing ego started to cause strife within the party, and the cracks began to show. Uh-oh. President Sol barely secured a majority in the election against the opposition leader. Over the past year, people growing discontent with corruption and the worsening quality of life. Meanwhile, calls for a united Sordland Party Congress became loud as a leadership struggle started to brew. You joined the internal opposition. You gave your support to Ewald Alfonso, a reformist and talented leader, business magnate, who was the main contender for party leadership. Meanwhile, in a desperate attempt to secure party votes before the Congress, President Sol was meeting with party members one by one, but he didn't approach you. Party Congress was nothing short of impressive. The banners of the United Sordland were decorating every possible spot. Thousands of influential political figures, lobbyists, and benefactors gathered for this turning point. Voting for the party leadership began. You voted for Ewald Alfonso. The efforts bore fruit as the contentious leadership was won by Ewald Alfonso. During the Congress, Sol announced his retirement from politics. You knew the structure he had established was to stay. The country had become increasingly authoritarian. You were happy that Sol was finally leaving. A month later, your daughter was born. Monica named her Deanna. She motivated you during a tumultuous period in the party. The general elections were approaching. The United Sordland Party was under the new leadership of Ewald Alfonso. You joined the party effort and campaigned for him. During the general elections, the main opposition leader was embroiled in sex scandal with his secretary. He was replaced by the strong opposition figure Franz Richter, but the damage had already been done. The extensive privatization programs proposed by Ewald Alfonso secured an election victory for the USB. Over the next years, you did your best in order to make Sordland a better place. The presidency of Ewald Alfonso saw many bold reforms, but was followed by a serious economic recession. The other parties announced their bids for the 50-free election, but the unfair system hampered all opposition efforts to win. You were worried about the economic recession. Together with Peter, your presence in the USB grew, and you became the face of a new wing in the party. You effectively took over leadership of as Alfonso lost control of the country. The moment to make a move had come. You advised Alfonso to step down. He didn't take your advice seriously and started to reshuffle his cabinet, but most of his inner circle abandoned him. Your diplomatic attitude made the party vote you in as the leader. Following this, you announced that you would be running for president in the general election with Peter as your running mate. And then it was your turn. After visiting every city and town during the campaign, you made a speech on state television. You promised to enact democratic reform. The people are tired of empty promises. We need fundamental change in our institutions and government. A solid and transparent democracy awaits us. Brothers and sisters, a new constitution and a new age is upon us. And the broadcast ended. On election day, millions went out to cast their votes. It was time to face the truth. Chapter 1, President Reign. So I think I'm going to split this up, is that there are turns. And I'm going to do it turn by turn, methinks. So we're starting turn 1 with this. So get a customizer guy. We'll do something somewhat capitalist-y. I don't like the clean-shaven look. Yeah, that looks pretty capitalist-y to me. Yeah, let's go with that. So as Anton Reign, you've made many promises to people Sordland in order to gain their votes. They must be considered very carefully. So we have to choose between the plain doctrine or free market reforms. We're going to do free market. I think last time I tried planned economy, I think free market is going to be a bit more dynamic, probably a bit better. Intensifying global rivalry between Abkhazia and United Cortana. It's opening new diplomatic possibilities. We're going to lean towards the West. And then in recent years, Bludish, Vedzik, and Angolan immigrants flocked to Sordland due to relaxed immigration laws enacted by Alfonso. We're going to keep immigration relaxed. I think that's generally what you want to do, at least for reformists. Next, I've also promised to focus on a certain extensive subject within our third term. People expect us to solve a negative situation within this topic while providing an overall improvement to related policies. Let's do health. Health or education? I think last time we did education on stream, so I'll focus on health. Your promises will be remembered and they will have consequences. Are you sure about your decisions? I'm pretty damn sure. 2 weeks have passed since we won the election, and now is about to sworn in as the 4th president of Sordland. Thousands are watching the inauguration ceremony and cheering my name, Anton Rain. The die was cast, and there my story began. In the distance, the Marine Palace stood on top of the famous Hill of Pride. I had no way of knowing what future awaited me there. I looked at my family. My son and daughter, Frank and Deanna, were next to Monica, my wife. Her eyes were glimmering with pride. And then I turned towards the key people who made it all possible. Of course, each individual was promised an important position in my cabinet. As my thoughts slowly faded away, the reality of my situation dawned on me. Orson Hawker, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, was waiting for me. The time has come for the oath. It has indeed. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. I do solemnly swear that I will respectfully execute the office of the President of Sordland, and to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the people and the Constitution of the Republic of Sordland. You may now deliver your inauguration speech, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Hawker. Brothers and sisters. The crowd looked very eager to listen to me. You, the people, have chosen. Together we will bring prosperity and reform to our nation. It's a time of hope. It is a time of change. Our workers are no less productive than a decade ago. Our capable minds are no less inventive. Our production, products, and services no less required than they were last week, last month, or last year. First, we must rewrite our broken constitution from 1929. Our capacity as a nation has never been greater. Hundreds of thousands cheered. They were shouting my name in unison. I felt the responsibility, the power, and the burden all at the same time. I waved at the crowd, which made them cheer louder. I took a long look at the people of Sordland to burn this moment into my memory. One of the presidential guards came by to notify me that it was time to leave. I made my way to the leading car in the motorcade. The presidential state car was a jet black Cadillac with flags of Sordland above the front headlights. Next to it, a man was holding the door. Hello, Mr. President. Still on the effective speech I made, hearing my new title made me smile. If you allow me to introduce myself, I'm Sergey, your new driver. Nice to meet you, Sergey. It's an honor. He respectfully bowed his head before opening the car door and gesturing inside. I entered the car. We'll be heading towards the palace. The motorcade began to move. On his way, Sergey proceeded to explain his duties as driver. As minutes passed by, I found myself lost in thoughts again, barely paying attention to what he was saying. He suddenly made a gesture towards the now closer palace. Isn't it a beauty? The Maroon Palace. He was right. Sunlight glinted off the palace's many maroon-colored domes. It was so bright I had to look away. Every time I look at it, I'm reminded of my duty to the nation. So do I, Sergey. It is the beating heart of our nation, after all. Well said, Mr. President. The car drove past majestic gates, continued uphill to the entrance, and stopped in front of the doors. Sergey got out of the car and opened the door for me. Have a great day, Mr. President. A Morgana Vescor. He referred to the famous Swedish phrase from the times of the Revolution. Morgana Vescor, Vector Insista, which meant morning will come, victory is close. Vector Insista. I made my way upstairs through the extravagant corridors of the palace, marble and engraved wood finishes that decorated the interior. My footsteps echoed in the colossal halls, The guards bowed their heads in respect as they opened massive doors to my new office. Okay. So, I was going to say I was going to do it turn by turn, but this is a decent... We can do this as a prologue and then start the new turn in the next video, I think. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So, thanks as always for watching, ladies and gentlemen. If you liked the video, leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content feature, hit the sub button for uploads weekdays as well as Saturdays. I'm going to at least do this one Suzerain series. I might play some more different runs with different paths coming up, but I know, at least for now, I will be doing this. I also do a lot of strategy game videos, mainly Hearts of Iron, but I am looking to branch out soon. I keep saying that. I might actually do it this time, I swear. I am technically doing it this time, actually, so there we go. So if you're interested in any of that, hit the sub button. Maybe hit the notification bell, even, if you're feeling a little adventurous. And if you have any comments, feedback, concerns, leave in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get and appreciate any all feedback you might have for me. If you want to chat, play games, anything of the sort, check out my Discord. If you want to send a few bucks more every month, I have a Patreon. If you want to see me do this sort of stuff live, I have Twitch. And if you just want to see me do non-gaming related stuff, I have a second channel, all which is down in the description box below. That's really it for now, ladies and gentlemen. My name has been Mr. DB333. I thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.